So after reading all this, what advice would you give to a young Ohioan who's about to get their first credit card?
I would say be very careful about credit cards. If you can avoid carrying a balance, try to do that. If you need to carry a balance, be careful about your cards, be knowledgeable about your cards, read the fine print. We tell people I wouldn't get more than 2 or 3 cards. You might want to have more than one, but I wouldn't get too many because you just lose track of the situations you're in. And typically you want to carry a priority card, which is the one you typically use because you know what the interest rate is on that, and you know that you're not working yourself into trouble without even realizing it. So.
Can I see that there's legislation in the works too that's similar to this? Are you supportive of that?
I am, and I have written to the Ohio's delegation on behalf of it. There is what's called a credit card holder's Bill of Rights that's been proposed in Congress. Carolyn Maloney, who is a representative from state of New York, introduced it. Frankly, it is serving 2 purposes. Number one, it is a bill that's there that is pushing the regulators and providing support for them to do what they have now proposed to do. And that, for example, that bill had a hearing in the House committee and passed out of House committee last week. I don't anticipate it's likely to pass in this session, but it is there and it is looming behind the federal regulators. If they decide to drop this and do nothing, Congress has said they may take action on their own. I think that my understanding is Barney Frank, who's the chair of that committee, I think he's pretty satisfied with the rules the regulators put forward, and if they pass these, he probably will not continue with the bill. But the bill does contain some things that are not in these rules and may well be a basis for legislation in the future. But sometimes that's how that works. Congress, I think, is pushing the regulators, and everybody's pleased that the regulators have stepped up to do something because they haven't done anything for the last 15, 20 years at least on this issue.
How soon could consumers see something come out of Washington? I guess they've given their opinion, the opinions have been submitted, so of course then we play the waiting game.
Yep.
People get anxious. And
yep.
Okay, what's going to happen?
There's not a definitive time frame, although there is a time frame for them to act on the comments and summarize and so forth. But they have indicated publicly a number of times that they do expect that they will act one way or the other by the end of the calendar year. So I would say, and I think probably some of that the timing is before the next administration.
When they decide to pass all the regulations as is or change, how many days till they go into effect?
I don't know the answer to that. I think I'm not sure. It can vary, just like a bill passed here can vary. But I don't know the answer. We can find that out and get back.
What about, you said that a lot of people were talking about the marketing of cards and how you have marketing it to college kids and people who are desperate and don't have another way can't see another way to get money. Is anyone kicking around anything federally that will speak to those issues?
There has been a bill introduced federally, I forget by whom, and what it focuses on is restraining the marketing of cards to minors, which you would think that a company wouldn't want to market a card to a minor because the minor isn't legally bound by that contract. But what we're finding is there is some marketing going on to minors, and it seems to be that the assumption is if the kid gets in trouble, the parents will pay, and in many cases that's probably carries enough validity that that marketing continues. There's also concern, though, a lot of our young people who go to college, and our best and brightest, they get to campus, and most of them are adults at that point, legally. They are not really in a position where they are making money and setting it aside to be able to afford and carry a balance on credit cards. So there's a concern that if they're marketed cards and they start to carry a balance on it, if they're working at all, they're paying for college. So that's adding to their student loans and now credit cards. And we're starting to hear, we've heard a lot of stories about young people dropping out of school because of financial problems where the credit card debt is as significant in their financial problems as the student loan debt. And I personally know of instances of excellent young people coming out of school in Ohio, and particularly if they've gone on to graduate schools, and I've been building this up for 7 years, who have credit card debts of $20,000, $40,000, $60,000. And that means they're hugely behind the 8 ball before they get started. And unlike student loans, which often pay back on a delayed and slow schedule because they're trying to give people a chance to build up their working career, the credit card bills do not adjust accordingly. So they're at high interest rates and they're constant.
Is anyone